Joy shall be in heaven over one sinner that repenteth, more than over 99 just persons which need no repentance. Luke 15, verse 7. The alleged crimes of Abdul Ezedi have once again exposed the weakness of our asylum system, even if the conversion to Christianity is something that in principle would be welcome. The asylum seeker, currently, as far as we know, on the loose, and the prime suspect in the Clapham Alkali attack, which left a mother and two children with life-changing injuries, comes from Afghanistan, and having had his asylum application rejected twice, went on to commit a sexual offence. He then supposedly converted to Christianity as a means of eventually being granted asylum. Mr. Ezedi was put on the sex offenders register for a decade, and somehow this did not suffice to block his third asylum attempt. Home Office guidelines state that sexual offences are enough to block asylum requests, but a 2020 immigration tribunal overruled this because a clergyman gave evidence that suggested he was, quote, wholly committed to Christianity. But new reports are suggesting this wasn't necessarily true. Apparently, Mr. Ezedi continued to buy only halal meat after his supposed conversion, and staff at a local shop described him as a good Muslim. Despite Afghanistan being deemed unsafe for Mr. Ezedi to return to, he reportedly had plans to return to the Taliban-ruled country to find a wife. And yet we're now being told that Mr. Ezedi's asylum status is irrelevant to this case. A number of commentators, including some members of Parliament, have suggested this crime is a problem of misogyny. A Labour MP on Newsnight last week, a programme on the BBC, said Mr. Ezedi's asylum status is, quote, not really the issue. A barrister who appeared on GBNews last week and will be joining me in a moment said this.
A crime that you can deal with just by having more people on the street because it happens so quickly. It's a crime of opportunity. What you need to deal with is the social causes of it. And acid attacks are a crime of misogyny. They're about men trying to exercise control over women by reducing them to their looks and then destroying those looks. And it's only by addressing that we're going to be able to address the crime itself.
But this crime is unequivocally about asylum for one very simple reason. Mr. Ezedi should not have been in the country. And if he had been expelled, he could not have committed the crime. The only reason the crime happened is because he was here. And it's this simple point that proves that it was the failure of the asylum system that allowed the crime to take place. The Home Office's own guidelines suggest his criminal past was sufficient to reject his application, which means he ought not to have been here. It is therefore obviously the system's failure.